Well, once the band's sounding great, you have vocals, which are 99% of the time the most important thing in the mix.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. You know, what do you do? Obviously, mic selection is very important. Mic technique.
Mic selection, I think, we did a demo not too long ago, and one of the things I learned was, most vocal mics sound pretty good. You can go, I can get this head and make this sound this great and what have you, but I kind of sat back and really evaluated a bunch of vocal mics, and we had a female vocalist and a male vocalist, and we all listened, and a Beta 58 or a regular 58, still sounds great. I was watching, awards show the other night, and top artist, SM58. I mean, that's a $99 vocal mic you can pick up anywhere. And, that says a lot. Mic placement, obviously, in a vocal is dependent upon the artist, but, mic choice, it's whatever works for the vocal, and a lot of them are really similar. So, the vocal mic is if I walked up and saw a 58, I'd be fine. If I walked up and saw the best Neumann capsule, I'd be like, sweet, that's great. I'd feel pretty good about it. Compressing vocals is pretty important, and it's probably one of the things that you can use to really keep a vocal where it needs to be in the mix. Obviously, compression helps you control the dynamic range of an instrument, and a vocal can be quite dynamic. If I've been in several situations where, I've walked up to a console and I've only got like 2 channels of compression. And if I only have 2 channels of compression, I promise you I'll choose the lead vocal to be one of those channels. And, that's going to take the priority of, hey, I've only got 2 channels of compression and I'm only going to use it on lead vocal. That's one of the main things. Another tool that I use on keeping the vocal where I need it is what I like to call backwards compression or smashing, or it's been called several other things. I can't remember what it's called, but backwards compression, I guess I think is the best way to say it. I basically double bus the lead vocal, and I will, on the subgroup that I bus it to, so I'll bus it to the left and right mains. So the original channel that you have going goes straight to the mains, just like you normally would. But in addition to that, I'll bus it to a subgroup. And on that subgroup, I'll put another compressor, and I'll really compress it. I'll compress it probably in an unhealthy amount, 7 to 15 dB of compression, and when the vocalist is really digging into it. But the key to it is that on the makeup gain, I'll crank up the makeup gain, and then I'll route that bus back to the mains. So I then, in the sum of it is I get a regular vocal that goes to the mains, and then I get this overly compressed vocal that goes to the mains in addition. And this will add, quite a bit of dB of volume. And you have to be careful with feedback with a smash. So it'll add, I'll probably add 5 or 6 dB of volume on the gain knob on the compressor. But it's when the person is digging in, it's compressing 10 to 15 dB. And the whole purpose of that is when they really are singing loud, the other compressor kicks in, and it kicks in so loud that it's really non-effective. You don't really hear the original sound covers up the compressed sound. But when the person backs off of the mic, that other compressor gets out of the way, and then it turns them back up. And where you set the threshold and the attack and release on that can really help in that area of where you're trying to get clarity of the vocal. And when they're barely talking, or they're whispering through a prayer or something like that, that vocal is right where it needs to be. And when they really are digging in and dynamic, you don't hear a compressed sound. And that's what I really like about it, is that the compressor that you have on the channel cannot have to work so hard, and you hear this over compressed sound when they really dig in. And So we call it backwards compression because you're really actually bringing up the soft parts, not turning down the hard parts or the rough parts. So that's one of the things that that has really helped me keep a vocal where I need it in the mix. And one of the things to be very aware of is compression causes S-ing. And when you get the vocal compressed kind of like you want it, the S range of a vocal doesn't typically engage a compressor, just like the proximity of a vocal or the meat of a vocal. And when you start compressing, the S's start to come out. So you realize that when you do that, you're probably causing other problems. And if you've got the right tools in the box to fix those problems, it's great to have, there's de-essers that you can use or whatever. You can side chain on a regular compressor and put a EQ and de-ess there. But understand that once you get a vocal kind of where you want it, sometimes compression-wise, you can cause other issues. Other issues to be aware of when you compress anything is the noise floor. When you're reducing that dynamic range, you're not only turning down the top parts, but you're bringing up the soft parts. And a lot of times in those soft parts are drums and stage volume and all those other things. So there's a lot of things that you're going to be causing problems with. And I think understanding the cost when you use compression can help you use it more cautiously and more effectively, and understand, like I said, sometimes in mixing, it's all about compromise. You can't always get exactly what you want, especially in the live arena. And it's going, that's too much noise. I'd rather back off the compression and not get that noise. And you have to make those decisions, and making those decisions on the fly and understanding the cost of what you're doing can really affect your mix and make it better.